First of all, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being with us here today. My name is Siddharth. I'm from SpringPeople, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. SpringPeople is India's largest enterprise training provider, and today for this session, we have with us Mr. Emmanuel Bobby, who is a SAP certified senior consultant and an industry veteran. He's been in the SAP consulting domain for the past 15 years, and he'll be guiding you throughout today's session. So, without further ado, over to you, Mr. Bobby.
Thank you, Mr. Siddharth, and good morning, all of you, and welcome for this seminar. The topic here is career prospects for SAP S/4HANA for FICO consultants. Just to add to what Siddharth told about my background, yes, I come from various different background. I do not normally come from a finance background or a management consultant background, but then I come from an engineering background. But then how I picked up my sticks and then understood the prospects here, that has really given me a complete boost and a different perspective in my life. That is why I am so sounding and seeing that this value can be actually distributed as well as spread to people who are aspiring to be good SAP consultants. So coming from that direction, I would like to take you, and typically we are going to be talking about from the new technology perspective. So here the agenda is an overview of SAP industry solutions and the software development lifecycle approach. Then that is basically the industry approach. Then talking about ERP SAP S/4HANA Enterprise Management. So how this HANA Enterprise Management has come into vogue, and then what is it contributing? Technical and functional modules in SAP S/4HANA. Typically, we would like to go slice, dice, and see how this application is going to help us. So I'm going to show you what is a technical module and the functional module at a separate different high level. Then the core modules which are integrating with finance module, because I remember that you are all coming from the finance background. So let me see how it gets integrated and then give you an interface to it. And S/4HANA finance and controlling components, basically this is covering the course, the SAP course content, how it's going to be helping us in learning and then taking it forward. And then last slide, I just have a Q&A, time for you to ask questions and clarify doubts. So let's get started. SAP has got industry solutions, and we know that way back in 1972, the ERP era started. With that, they started with basic things like finance area and then the manufacturing area, but then they were just looking at the pure process areas. Later, industry solutions got into maturity, and then we today have aerospace and defense, media, automotive, mill products, banking, mining, and for chemical industries, oil and gas industries, consumer products like the FMCGs, pharmaceuticals, engineering, construction, and operations. We have it for healthcare, public sector, high-tech industries, retail, higher education and research, service providers, industry machinery and components, telecommunications, insurance, utilities for professional services. So this, how SAP is going about delivering, and there is a kind of a maturity model, I would say. We follow certain methodologies, process, and procedures. So industry practice that we have a management view here, which is an accelerated SAP implementation plan. Today, many people sound about telling we have to go on agile. Yes, we go about agile. There were classical approach, which is called the waterfall method, but then both these methods do flow in a particular manner, which is called a project preparation. Step one, in the project preparation, normally they have to see what are the project charters, how the project charter is built, then how the planning goes about, how the requirement is gathered, then the blueprint, business blueprint, then the realization phase. The realization phase is very key here. You see that we as consultants come in play. So basically we understand what is the requirement, we go through the design, we take over the build phase, then we do a test, then the test phase goes complete with all the metrics and the results recorded and documented. Then we go into the final preparation. With the final preparation, we have to give a particular schedule and then go into the go live and support, then continuous improvement. So our SAP application the software goes through a kind of a life cycle. So there is a continuous improvement post implementation. So just talking from that point of view, we know that what kind of material comes in place here. So consulting is one very important. Then the licenses are very important for this kind of applications, large applications, which are on premise, which are hybrid, and which are also in cloud. Training materials, then their support and the project reviews. So these are the topics that normally we have at a very high level. If you go a little more deeper, what each phase is happening, what are the actions that is happening, what activities do happen at this place. If you go for project planning and preparation, we have a setup basically for a kickoff meeting. So this is a kind of a culture or a style, you would say. We have to inculcate this high impact culture while we work in our organizations with the clients. In IT, normally this is how they go about the project environment definition, scope definition and planning, standards and procedures definition. Then in the build printing, we have technical design, we have gap analysis, establish development environments. Basically, this is the environment where we build, construct, or we do customization, or we do the coding. Organizational structure definitions, business process definitions, development procedures and standards. We have the realization phase, wherein we normally look at the quality assurance environment. Basically, it's preparing, planning, and then executing. Establish production environment, baselining the configurations. Why do we do this baselining? It's very important that the requirements are met. We cannot over deliver, we cannot under deliver. That is where we talk about baselining, configuration, user roles and authorizations. So this is very much important. Without a user role and authorization, not everybody could log into the system and do things there. So it requires some kind of a competency, proficiency, and the capability. That is where this user roles and authorizations play. End user training documentation, final scope configuration, integration testing, detailed design development, and the RISE of development. When we talk about RISE of W, basically we're talking about reports, interface, conversions, enhancements, forms, and the workflows. So these are nothing but the custom objects, the business objects, which are standard from the SAP product, gets into some kind of a customization, which are specials. Again, when you look at industry specifics, each industry has got its own peculiar process and procedures, the quality management system. So accordingly, we need to develop. Some could be statutory, some could be optional, some could be required, and some could be nice to have kind of business objects, which helps to run the business more robust. That is why we come into the RISE of W objects. Final preparation, we have the go live check preparation, we have production cutover plan, final cutover preparations, transport of objects in production, key user training, post go live support plan. This all is conducted by each team owning a kind of a responsibility and then delivering their roles. Post go live support, that is a kind of a post go live review, production system handover. So basically this is a very clear stage gate that and handover and the takeover happens with the documentations. Then there are tickets which are for run and maintain. We have tickets in matter of priorities as well as severities. You would have priority 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of tickets, and how we have to stick to the service delivery agreement and the KPIs towards these solutioning. And then the bug fixes, issues that would come because of the versions which not been upgraded, or issues that would come because of certain rules broken in the business process. So then the bug fix would need to become. Normally we see that the application, the system aligns to the business process. It's very rare that a business aligns to an application or a system. So that is a big constraint. We would look at it as a bug fix and then fix it. Then retesting, basically this retesting, and then we call it different types of tests here. We have regression testing, that the past, how the system was behaving, how the system is today behaving, how it will behave in the future. So there are different types of smoke tests, dry runs, integration tests, unit tests, and then object level support. So basically we have various modules, we take the object wise, and then there could be some kind of a RISE of W, what we are talking about the custom objects. So object level supports are also part of our post go live support. That is the AMS, or the run and maintain of an application through innovation and then continuous improvement. There are different strategies which SAP tells us how to go about deploying. We have at least 3 types which we have identified in the industry. There are people who have on-premise. There are certain industries who are very conservative. They say that we do not go into the public cloud. They do not want their data to be available on the public cloud. That could be a conservative approach. We know that in finance, especially the banking, treasury, and things like that, and even the HR, the personal information which is there about the human resource, they would like to keep it on the private premise. So that could be a private cloud. So we have ERPs deployed on the on-premise, which is a private cloud. And then it also has an HANA database. Then we have an hybrid model. In the hybrid model, certain modules can be used on the cloud and certain modules like the predominantly which I told about the HR module, the finance related or the treasury related and the banks data related. So those kind of submodules could be handled on the on-premise and then have one kind of a secured interface connected, built, and then the interface works. And then also have it deployed purely on the cloud. So here the onus of maintaining the responsibility of security comes with the ownership, comes to the SAP product who provides the cloud, public cloud. And then we have the cloud editions. Various cloud editions are there for us to learn. So actually, this is what we are planning to train our young people in India on the cloud edition, SAP S/4HANA. So then we have the structure here. We called this the digital core. What happened after SAP S/4HANA came in 2015? The SAP was a product which developed on its own and then came up with its own R&D setup across the globe. Then it also understood there are few applications which are well connected and working. And then it went and purchased some of those products. Some of the products which they purchased were Ariba for procurement, Concur we have, then the Success Factor, the Field Glass. Then we have many other products like Hybris. Of late, we have also purchased something called Open Text Vendor Invoice Management, which is the VIM. So these are the things which SAP has purchased. And then how they are integrated. So we would say that they are rightly integrated to the digital core. The new product line in SAP is named as the S/4HANA Enterprise Management. And if somebody talks about a digital core, we mean S/4HANA Enterprise Management. So we have the SAP S/4HANA Finance, which is tightly integrated. We have the human resource module, which is again integrated tightly. The manufacturing, and this all comes from the native, where it is coming from the earlier versions of R/3, then 4.6, 4. Then we have the ECC5 and then the ECC6. And now we are in the S/4HANA platform. So basically what was happening in the other platforms, they were running on the Oracle platform. After HANA coming in, so everything S/4HANA Enterprise works on the HANA platform. And then we have the supply chain, we have the asset management, then we have the sales, services, marketing, then sourcing and procurement, typically Ariba, Fieldglass, and Concur. These tools which are now with SAP, and we have experts who have come from these organizations and joined SAP or joined as SAP consultants who work on these specific areas like Ariba, Fieldglass, Concur. Then we have the SAP S/4HANA research and development. So this is a kind of a picture at a very high level, bird's view, I would tell, what has happened. So there are a few changes in the architecture itself. So architecture wise, the speed, the ability to churn the data, the ability to throughput the data when you pass a command, and the reports are come more dynamically, and then more intelligent sort of reports are coming because of the analytics which is also built on top of this HANA platform. Then we have the technical modules. I told you there is also functional modules. Typically technical modules, I would say that we have two here, which is SAP ABAP, Advanced Business Application Programming. So there are experts who come from a little bit of technical background, and then they try to pick up the coding and then the programming language. So they support the application from the ABAP teams. We also have the SAP Basis. So these people play multiple roles here. The Basis team, they also acquire knowledge, skill, and the competency. They are actually responsible for governing GRC, we call it, governance, risks, and compliances. So they are taking the ownership of giving or approving accesses in the system to the users, end users, super users, firefighter IDs. Then they also give accesses in a composite way as well as the direct roles which are required. SAP bases also play another role called security. So they take care of the system security part of it. Thereby they can control the flow of information from one to the other, from a team to team, from our SAP system to outside SAP non-SAP system through the interfaces which are secured. The functional modules, what you would normally would have heard also is FI for finance, CO for controlling, PP production planning, SD and sales distribution, MM for material management, HR for human resource. So these are the modules which are very mature module, and then it is all available so tightly integrated and interfaced within the SAP Easy Access menu, as well as when you go for configuration, it is through SP, which we call it as the implementation guide approach. There are both kinds of roles. People do this technical role as well as the functional role. For the end users, it's usually coming from the front end of the SAP application. So HR module normally contains, these are the key elements: recruitment, payroll, time management, travel expense, accounting and benefits, workforce planning and training, administration, organization management. In the material management module, it normally contains, it supports procurement and inventory. The elements are procurement, purchasing basically, inventory management, invoice verification, material valuation, vendor evaluation. When it comes to this kind of invoice verification, material valuation, vendor evaluation. So you take invoice verification for that matter. There is a particular point where it integrates with finance. The moment it hits a general ledger account, so that is where we say that the work or the task from the record to report or account to report or the finance process area starts from the MM side. External service management, purchasing information system, which is nothing but the reports, various standard reports which are available in SAP system. Inventory controlling information system. And this is more predominantly on the MM domain. The ST, sales and distribution module, the typical that activities are like sales, delivery and billing. The moment billing happens, it has to come into the accounting document. From there on, the flow comes into our FI, financial accounting module. The key elements here are pre-sale support, inquiry processing, quotation processing, sales order processing, delivery processing, warehouse management, billing, credit management, sales information system. Talking of credit management, this responsibility could be shared across the modules. Talking of the PP, production planning module, here it is to plan and control the manufacturing activities. The key elements here are the BOM, bill of material, routing, then the work centers. So these are all the key components which is getting configured in the application system by consultants, and then the end user comes and plays a role at the shop floor level or even at the factory. So then we have the sales and operations planning, SOP, material production scheduling, capacity planning, materials requirement planning, shop floor control, production orders, production costing, activity-based costing, work in process, Kanban, production planning for process industries, and repetitive manufacturing. The controlling module, which is another niche area for people like us, if someone acquires this skill, you will be at a great demand in the industry. So this represents the flow of cost and revenue, instrument for organizational decisions, that is the management decisions. It feeds a lot of information. Basically, this module works like a parasite on the FI, on across all other modules. It extracts, it derives values and then brings out meaningful reports and brings out meaningful inferences. So the key elements in the controlling module are the cost center accounting. These are nothing but the cost objects, element account, cost element accounting, production, product cost planning, product costing, profitability analysis, profit center accounting, activity-based costing, enterprise controlling, and enterprise overhead management. So these are the at a very high level in the controlling side. Coming to your finance module, we have a finance architecture and the universal journal. So the universal journal is the new offering from the SAP S/4HANA, basic configuration of finance enterprise structure. We would be understanding and learning about it. Finance master data concept and creation. Basically, the master data is a very major part and it holds a very key role because it is going to be predominantly stable for a very longer time. So there is something called master data governance or master data organization from the SAP S/4HANA offerings. The general ledger. So we would look at general ledger as a general ledger account also as a master data. Accounts receivable, when it comes to the sundry debtors, we would look at the customers as our master data, and then the processes. Accounts payable, again the vendors, the suppliers, the creditors also looked at the master data level, and then we could see that the entire process handled in the accounts payable side from the financial accounting part. Asset accounting, the entire nugget of our asset in the organization, all kinds of assets. There are different specialities about asset accounting. We got to learn about it. Cash management and treasury, which also includes a little bit of banking configuration in the SAP system, maintaining this kind of master data, and then ensuring that the receipts and payments do happen through this cash management and treasury flow. Consolidation and reporting. Typically, this is required for the financial account statement. Basically, we have the two statements of accounts. So for that, we have this last piece of module. And then we have standard reports. We have SAP standard reports. Apart from that, now there are new challenges which are coming through COVID, post-COVID, pre-COVID. So then there are new requirements coming as we had migrated from the ModVAT to VAT, from VAT to we got into the GST. So there are different kinds of forms and different kind of reportings in demand. Taking India as an example, you go to Mexico, you go to any other country, even China, they have peculiar golden. So they have different challenges and requirements. Accordingly, that kind of reporting needs to go. Take a look at the components, what SAP S/4HANA for finance is there. So understanding from the structure and the application structure point of view, we have SAP accounting, which is powered by S/4HANA, which is alternative in-memory functionality for ERP customers. This was a new offering from ECC version to SAP S/4 in the SAP S/4HANA. Cash management, which is again powered by SAP HANA, new product for group cash management, that is a new offering. SAP BPC, basically we have now the BW for HANA, business warehouse. Business process consolidation was different. Today we have the business warehouse, which is a downstream from the finance and the controlling modules, which flows into BW system. So there are new capabilities and enhanced integration for ERP and BPC. So that integration which is coming in talks to you in the HANA as a BW. So this is how the HANA is being projected. HANA database, basically it is a single source of truth, because we have something called the universal journal, which is very much aligned. Then something we call it as agile, which is a real-time processes. And then we have the predictive, which is good for dynamic planning and analysis. So we have aligned the application in such a way that organization structure can easily be fit, could be a standard fit. We don't have to go for too much of specials and customizations and risk the roles and authorization. So we have looking at SAP S/4HANA Finance, which delivers functional completeness across all financial roles. If you have a chief finance officer at the top, then we have the VP, head of corporate reporting, corporate treasurer, head of finance operations, chief compliance officers. So we know that what are the kind of functions they perform. Finance planning and analysis, basically deploy and translate the strategy, planning, budgeting and forecasting. So this particular chunk of work can be seen in our SAP application in the HANA S/4HANA. Profitability and cost management, basically we see there are certain reports that are very useful and meaningful, like the COPA reports at various dimensions. Monitoring and reporting. Take the case of accounting and financial close. So accounting, typically it is an entity close, corporate close, reporting and disclosure, financial close, governance. So these are the things handled under the head of corporate reporting. Treasurer, coming to the treasury and financial risk management, payments and bank communications. So this is typically from the BL and the TR sub-modules within the finance module. Cash and liquidity management, basically we know how a fund flow has to be handled. So this again comes under the finance treasury. Debt and investment management, financial risk management, commodity risk management. Then we have head of finance operations, who takes care of the collaborative financial operations, receivables management, collaborative invoice to pay. Then we have travel management. We know that there are a few applications which SAP has purchased, tools which SAP has purchased. We are using those for our travel management module. Financial shared services, and then real estate management. Then talking about the Chief Compliance Officer, Enterprise Risks and Compliances Management, Enterprise Risk Management, Control and Compliances Management, International Trade Management, Fraud Management, and Audit Management. So these are the kind of roles people play in the organizations, and there could be much more specialized roles which may not discrete but will not be so standardized, could be peculiar and unique to an industry. Talking about the course in S4 Finance, course contains, when we go in for this S4 HANA Finance certification, or we want to learn even without certification, what is the offering SAP is giving? It is giving you 4 course material. So it is S4 F12, that is one course, S4 F13, another one, S4 F15 and S4 F17. In S4 F12 course material, you will be able to see core financial accounting, configuration, document control, financial document clearing, posting control. And under S4F13, you see automatic payment, special GL transactions, parking documents, correspondence, dunning programs, automatic payment, validation and substitution, data aging and data archiving. And a few other components are grouped under S4F17. I would say organizational structure, asset accounting, master data, legacy data transfer. This is again typically about asset transaction, periodic processing and valuation, information system. And then the S4F15 talks about accruals and deferrals, auto and manual postings, intercompany reconciliations, receivables and payables accounts closing, asset accounting closing activities, financial closing cockpit overview. Basically, this is another special tool people use outside SAP also for monthly closing, period closing, year-end or quarter closing. And there is a tool which SAP gives called cockpit, FCC, financial closing cockpit. Technical and organizational of the GL, general ledger accounting, documentary closing activities, managing financial statements. So this typically comes for the closure and then the logical values that should flow into your 2 statements of the P&L and the balance sheet. Talking of controlling course content, they are divided into 5 course material. So the first one is S4F22, S4F23, S4F25, S4F28, and S4F29. S4F22, typically it contains, first it goes about S4 HANA overview, then talks about organizational units and master data, typically for the cost objects, event-based postings, period and closing, that is from the CO point of view, internal order overview of master data, event-based postings of internal orders, period and closing of the internal orders, planning with cost center and internal order and techniques, budgeting and availability control, new commitment management solution on cost centers. Talking of S4F23, this course content takes you through product costing, product cost planning methods, basics, then material cost estimates without quantity, structure, product cost planning configuration, material cost estimate and quantity structure, additional costing functions, and valuation methods. S4F25, it typically talks about the product cost again. It talks by period of for made to stock manufacturing using the product cost collector. We know that there is a flow from S4F23 to S4F25. So most of the topics are a continuous flow. So then we have this variance analysis and result analysis and information system. S4F28, it talks about profit center, master data, profit center accounting, actual postings, profit center planning, profitability management, and transfer pricing. S4F29 typically talks about profitability management structure and its structure, master data, actual data, planning, information system, and tools and attachments. So this course content has a typical, if you go into these chapters, it says what is the time duration you will take, including your theory learning, then about a practice, then about a demo overview. Altogether it says, and it breaks up how many minutes you will spend in each of this component studying. So overall, if you take a sum of it, so it says that we are giving you a license, we are giving you the accesses, we are giving you all the material, and for your storage and for your records, you can go about rereading. When you get into the preparation mode for the certification, we would say that you will be supported by SpringPeople. You will be supported by the instructor-led trainings, which helps you to do better, understand better concepts, and then a lot of hand-holding. then you will also get a very good mentoring about how to set a consultant mindset, how to carry it forward in your place of work, prepare you for the technical interviews, give you those niche tips and tricks which helps you to move rapidly in your career. So these are some of the things that I would say that offering from the SAP S/4HANA for FICO, Finance and Controlling. So from here, I would like to hand over to Mr. Sunil. Mr. Sunil, can you please take over? Thank you for your patience and hearing.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sunil. I am the director of SAP Retail Business at SpringPeople. We thank you, all of you, to have taken time for the short notice and have attended this webinar. I hope it has been informative and it has given you some kind of insight about what career opportunities or what kind of options are there if you want to change your career from being a finance person or an accounts person to getting into SAP finance consulting. So we always will be there for servicing you, giving you all your support in case if you require any kind of guidance or career guidance for changing your career. We are always there to support you. So now we are open to question and answer session, Q&A session. If you have any kind of queries related to the subject or to any kind of placements or career opportunities, you can throw your questions. We are ready to answer that. Siddharth, can you
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so guys, if any one of you has any questions, please raise your hand. I'll go ahead and unmute you, and you can ask your questions to the panel. So I believe Siddharth has a question. Siddharth Pandey. I'll go ahead and unmute you, Siddharth. Please ask your question. Siddharth, he's dropped off, it seems. Anyone else, guys? Do you have any questions? You can make the most of this opportunity and ask your questions. Our panel is very much expert in answering your questions. They have immense experience. Okay, Akula has a question. Akula Mahesh. I'll unmute you, Akula. Yes, Akula, please ask your question. Yeah. Akula Mahesh, I have unmuted you. You can ask your question, please. He's not available, I guess. Okay.
anybody else?
Manoj has a question. I'll unmute Manoj. Manoj, please unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself also and ask the question.
The SAP is a totally different from Tally, or it's some similar to Tally? We can handle it as a Tally or totally different.
Can you answer this?
Yeah, so sir, you'd like to take that question, Sunil sir?
Say, Tally is very limited when you talk about ERP. ERP is more vast. When you talk about Tally, it's only for smaller organizations. When we talk about ERP, it covers all the business processes related with your other departments. Like if you talk about production planning, maintenance, quality, your HR, your sales, your purchase, anything and everything in your organization. All the business process can be managed by ERP. So ERP is more vast. Tally is more or less like a accounting package, now they have come up with kind of limited access towards the ERP, but Tally is very limited and for very small organizations. But when you go for larger organizations, Tally will not suffice. So you need some kind of ERP. ERPs are more like Oracle or Ban or PeopleSoft or JD Edward or Ramco or Microsoft Dynamics. They will serve the purpose. So ERP is much bigger, or you can say it's more efficient than your Tally. Hello, any other question?
Yeah, let's see if there are a few more questions. Let's just wait. We have a question from Swati. She asks, is there any possibility in showing the S4 HANA app and show how does it works? Maybe some features with related financial procurement or travel management.
Yeah, we can try to arrange, but that will be again one-to-one basis. We will try to. You'll have to connect with us. We will probably arrange for some kind of session with the mentor, and we can do that definitely.
Maria has a question. She asks, could you throw some light on research and development aspect of SAP FICO?
Bobby sir?
Yeah, I'm here. I can take that question.
Yes.
Research and development, when you're asking in which direction, are you talking from the architecture and the code, the platform point of view, or are you talking from the asking the research and development from the module point of view, from the application point of view? If you can say from which direction you're asking this question, then it becomes easy for me to answer there.
From enterprise management point of view, she says.
Okay, from the enterprise management point of view, I would say that where we are using it, I would like to give you a real-time example that will help you understand. See, for a very long time, we have been running revaluations of our inventory, and we used to do it in a very classical way. Of late, SAP S4 HANA, they have come up with SAP has basically come up with something called the RPA. This is nothing but a robotic process automation. And this particular tool, what happens is, we have taken the bots, we have built certain logic behind, and then we run the bots every month to run the inventory valuation. So this typically happens during the month end, and then the bots actually go pick up these jobs. You know, it is not simply running in SAP. The values are flowing from non-SAP system. They come from certain, we have a Vim, we have OpenText, we also have Ariba. So the flow comes from even AirPlus. So the values are coming from non-SAP environments. And then we are seeing that how the values have to be configured and maintained, or the conversions have to happen. So then all those things are taken care by the bots. So there's a lot of trial and error which has gone about, and then we have not come out with this is the off-the-shelf solution for across industries. It doesn't happen. But the bot is customized, and then it is taken care by the specialists within the organization. They make use of this tool, and then they run the flow. Another one which is ongoing today in our organization, I would say that we are doing something called a lean financial framework. How does this happen? Lean financial framework, basically when you do M&A, mergers and acquisitions of an organization, you see those organizations will be across some geography. They have typically different ways or processes and policies in place on how they manage their financial accounting. But when it is merged by another organization, maybe it is in Asia or Europe, that of America or that of some other region, how we have to merge, what are the things that happens in the, see, one is legal context. Let's not get into that. But coming about the enterprise management, I would like to tell you, we run this or integrate the applications on these, directly talking about the chart of accounts. We need it for consolidation. We have group reporting. So we use something called a SLO tool. SAP provides you an SLO tool. This is part of the R&D which has been in-house built and provided for our customers, for SAP customers. We run this SLO tool. What it does is, it does a very macro level with a humongous data and brings out some kind of inferences. It also can handle errors. It can show where you have hard coded in some of your programs, your ISFWs. And it also shows that where you have done some validations and substitute. So some validations and substitutions also will be highlighted in the way you run the SLO cycles. So these are some of the things in R&D that I would call out, which is very unique and then different, and it is not available in any other ERP environment. That is what I would say. I hope I answered this question.
Okay, yeah, thank you for answering that. So guys, you would have seen that our panel is very capable and experienced to answer any kind of questions that you have SAP related. I have one more question from Rian. He asks, he's a working professional and he wants to know if there is any chance that he can do this course part-time, and what is the duration of the course.
Yes, Riyan, we have all kind of flexibility. We have full-time trainings which can be completed in 1 month. We have part-time trainings which can be completed in 2.5 to 3 months, where we have options of weekend trainings. We have a weekday morning 2 hours or evening 2 hours you can spend. So we have all kind of flexible modes. So you can definitely get in touch with us based on your convenient and availability. We can arrange for your training.
And Rian, for any course related query, you can reach out to Mr. Sunil on his contact details mentioned in the slide. We have his cell phone number and his email ID mentioned in the current slide itself. You can always feel free to reach out to him. So, do we have any more questions, guys, before we call it a day?
I would like to add a few value points. What is the takeaway for our participants? What is the actual benefit that they are going to receive? See, what you would get through an SAP partner like SpringPeople is you get a proper insight to industry best practices in development and IT support through the training. SAP has done some kind of a research just before we all set into this COVID 2020. They have hired IDC, which is an international data corporation, and the Pricewaterhouse. So these two people have come out with some kind of an understanding. A continuous training definitely adds value to an organization. So here from our side, I would say end-to-end scenarios of real-time activities, we would like to give you an understanding. Step-by-step process, we can help you understand maneuvering the system, navigating the system, assistance to that level. Sometimes you do it on your own. Some of them are too good experts because of the generation. Some of them will still struggle because that sometimes you get stuck in some kind of a flow. So there are demo versions which are available in the SAP that will help you, as well as the instructor. If it is instructor based, instructor led, then you can also take help. There are a lot of learning tips and tricks. We can give you a lot of guidance on certification preparation. In one shot, you can be 100% sure that you're taking it. Then we give you expert training for skill assessments and technical interviews. That is for sure. And you will know that what kind of questions will come from a technical interviewer or a panelist. And then you are prepared for that kind of questions and answer them very confidently. We'll inculcate the problem solving ability to you. We'll enhance the cognitive skill in you. You'll see that where you are actually lacking and how you can be harnessing yourself to get onto the fast track of the SAP career consulting. And we'll help you build your networking skill also, because there is something about this with the soft areas. Not everywhere it is a hardcore skill, but then there is a networking skill also, which we need to understand how we go about using the right language and the context and the terminologies. We'll give you guidance on solution approach. When you are actually stuck in the kind of work, conceptualizing, understanding, and practical applications. So we take you through a kind of a procedure, which is a maturity model and good practices. We'll help you sensitize the nuances of a consulting role. That much I can say. That would be your takeaway. Thank you, Siddharth.
Yeah, so I think we're done with most of the questions today. And guys, if you have any course fees related, content related, duration related queries, you can reach out to Mr. Sunil. As I said earlier, also his contact details are mentioned in the slide. You can visit our website as well. And for any demo sessions that you'd like to get done for yourself, you can feel free to reach out to us. We'll see what best we can do for you all. And with this, I'd like to end today's session, and thank you all for taking your time on weekend and being with us here today. We hope to see you soon for our future sessions. We always look forward to provide you with great insights from the SAP industry, which would help you to prosper in your career and make a thriving career in this domain. So thank you again for being with us here, guys, and we'll share the recording with everyone who are present today. And thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.